Throughout the majority of my life, I have always been more inclined to stay within my own personal comfort zone rather than venture out into unknown territory. This all changed, however, when I decided to sign up for a trip to Costa Rica that my Spanish teacher was getting together during my junior year in high school. I had never been anywhere outside of the country without my parents, and I had never been familiar with any other culture but my own, so this was going to be a big change for me. For the first time, I felt an intense urge to experience something new. This decision, as I have come to realize, may have been one of the most important in my life. The first thing I noticed when we landed in Costa Rica was the vastly different environment. Everything was so green. I was astonished at how much beauty really exists in the world and was slightly disappointed that my own country has destroyed much of what nature it once had. From going on walks through the rainforest and even on the beach, I was amazed at the variety of plants and animals that live there. During the short trip, I saw monkeys, lizards, sloths, and various birds and insects. Other than being able to be in such beautiful surroundings, the most exciting part of the trip was the activities that our group did. Our schedule included kayaking, horseback riding, whitewater rafting, and ziplining, among other things. Throughout the trip, I had the opportunity to do so many adventurous things that I had never done before. Although these things were extremely thrilling, I think the most rewarding experience was our visit to a local elementary school. My first impression of the school building was that of a worn-down prison. When we entered, however, I saw the young bright faces eagerly peeking out of their classrooms at us and instantly felt reassured. We got to sit in a classroom while the kids had show and tell, and then followed them outside for recess. Their playing area consisted of a large slab of cement outside. There we played soccer with the kids, and some of the guys threw a football around. We also got to talk with the kids in Spanish, which was interesting and exciting at the same time. It was difficult because the children did not attempt to slow down or make it easier for us to understand them like some adults would do. The kids, however, were still absolutely adorable. The trip to the elementary school was definitely one of my favorite parts of the trip because I got to experience the culture in a different way. It also gave me a greater appreciation for the education that I am able to receive in America. Another unforgettable experience I had in Costa Rica was the night that some of our group decided to go to a salsa bar. At first, I was really shy because the natives there were so good at dancing, and I know that I'm not the best dancer in the world, but by the end of the night, I was moving around the dance floor with complete strangers. This was not only a ton of fun, but it gave me a small taste of the Latino culture that left me wanting much more. Throughout this trip, I learned much about myself and about life in general that I did not expect to. While we were there, we became acquainted with a common saying in Costa Rica, which is Pura Vida, or pure life. I think this phrase says it all. The laid-back way of life in this country really taught me how valuable slowing down in life can be. I learned to appreciate things such as the beauty of the world around me that I hadn't really taken the time to notice before. Since this was the first time I traveled out of the country without my parents, I was nervous about being forced to be with other people constantly for 10 whole days, but it's amazing how close our group became. To this day, if I ever run into anyone from that trip, we greet each other with Pura Vida. Being immersed in such a different culture for the first time opened my eyes to what is out there in the world and inspired my decision to travel to several other countries before I die. My trip to Costa Rica finally pushed me out of my small little box and into the world around me.
Cada vez que yo me voy, llevo a un lado de mi piel tus fotografías para verlas cada vez que tu ausencia me devora entero el corazón.